Okay, now that these equations have been set up, now it's going to be much easier for me to solve them. So with the GCF, remember the three things you check for. I don't want to jump from here to here. You can see how to do a GCF, okay, with three terms, okay, right there. So we look for the negative, the x, and the GCF. Well, I don't need the negative because the first number's not negative. I also don't need x because I don't have x on this last number. Now on your calculator, you'd enter in 1, 14, and 9, and the GCF's 1. So if it's 1, we don't bother. Now I go A, B, C. So I take 1 times positive 14, and that's positive 14. So that's an add. And that add, we're trying to get to 9. 9 is negative. Well, I don't think 1 and 14 is going to do the job, okay? So I divide 14 by 2. That's 7. Okay, 7 plus 2 is 9. So 9 being negative means my 7's negative. Then when I have that positive up there, because these are the two numbers, the signs have to be the same. So if I have minus 7, I'll have minus 2. Now my a up there is 1x to the second. So I set up my parentheses, and I start with a 1 in front of the x. So it's 1x minus 2, 1x minus 7. Now I look for the GCFs, just 2. So 1 and 2, the GCF's going to be, you can punch them in here, but anytime 1's one of the numbers I punch in, it ends up as 1. So that keeps us at 1x minus 2 here. And then 1 and 7's 1, so that keeps us at 1x minus 7 here. Okay? So I don't have, if I have a GCF here, I need to bring it down, but I don't. So I put F1. F2 equals 0. So 1x minus 2 could equal 0, or 1x minus 7 could equal 0. So I dot and circle and add 2 to both sides. That's 2. Dividing by 1 keeps me at 2. Dot and circle, add 7 to both sides. That's 7. Dividing by 1 keeps me at 7. Okay, so there we have it. Remember, the problem's not done so until we find our answers. This one has 3. So if you remember grouping, you take 1x to the third and subtract 3x to the second, and then negative 9x plus 27. Now, what you do with the grouping is you check for your negative, then you check for your x, and it says it right here. And then you look for the GCF in each parentheses. So the negative, I don't need it here because 1 is positive. I do need it here because the first number is negative. X, well, these both have x's, so I put x to the smaller power, the second. These don't both have x's, so don't put an x there. And then GCF of 1 and 3, if you punch 1 comma 3, you're going to get 1. If you punch 9 comma 27, you're going to get 9, okay? Okay, now to the next part. Whatever I'm dividing under the lines here, I put out here. So I'm going to put 1x to the second right there. I'm going to put negative 9 right there. Okay? So 1 divided by 1 is 1, and then 3 minus 2 is 1. So that would be x to the first power. And then negative 3 divided by 1 is negative 3. Use a calculator. And those x's there cancel because they're to the same power. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1 with x. And then positive 27 divided by negative 9 is negative 3. Okay, so we don't need that 1 here. So what came into each parentheses? Okay. 1x minus 3. So we factor out 1x minus 3. Then we cross these out, and I end up with 1x to the second minus 9, because 9 is negative, so I make it minus. Okay. Now this right here is my F1. The first one, the one on the left is your F1. Now you need to see if you can get a DOPS out of this. So remember the three things you look for. Is your x to the second? Yes. Is the second number negative? Yes, and it says it right there, okay? And are the numbers perfect? Well, let's look at my chart. Well, 1's perfect, that's 1 and 1. And 9's perfect, that's 3 and 3, okay? And this is F2, and this is F3. So 1x minus 3 could equal 0. 1x plus 3 could equal 0. 1x minus 3 could equal 0. So I dot and circle. Remember, when you get down here, that's your F1, but this is where I look for the difference of perfect squares, the one on the right, and it says it right here. You can see that, okay? Okay, so plus 3, that's 3. Now, if we divide 3 by 1, you get 3 still. Minus 3, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Then divide by the 1. Negative 3 divided by 1 is negative 3. Plus 3, that's 3. Divide by 1, that's 3. Now, two of the answers are the same, but that's okay. That's my fault that I wrote it that way. Don't worry about it. Okay, now my next problem, the boxes have been set up. So the GCF, we don't need the negative because the 8 in front's positive. We don't need x because not all these have x. Then 8, 6, and 9, we're going to punch that in. And I got 1, okay? So let's not do it, okay? Okay, so I take positive 8 times negative 9, and that's negative 72. So this time it's negative, so that's a minus, and that minus needs to take us to the positive 6. 1 and 72 won't minus. 72 divided by 2 is 36. 36 minus 2 ain't 6. 72 divided by 3 is 24. That's not 6. 72 divided by 4 is 18. 18 minus 4 isn't 6. Divided by 5 is a decimal. Divided by 6, you get 12. I think 12 minus 6 does it, okay? So you got plus on your, this means you have plus 12. Then having a negative here means the signs are the opposite, okay? So that's plus 12 minus 6. Now, after you find your chart, you always want to look at what your A is. And it's, oops, right here, 8x to the second. So I'll need the two groups of parentheses. And we're going to start off with 8's in front of each x. And then I put minus 6 and plus 12. Okay. Now I look at 8 and 6 and see what I can divide by on the GCF. I got 2. So I want to divide this by 2, and that's 4x minus 3. 8 and 12. 8 comma 12. I got 4, so I'm going to want to divide these by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2 with x. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay. Now, you didn't do a GCF, so you don't put anything here. So times, you don't have to put times. F1, F2 equals 0. So each factor is set equal to 0. So 4x minus 3 could equal 0. Or 2x plus 3 could equal 0. So dot your x and circle it. Plus 3, plus 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. And then I divide by 4. 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. And then here I minus 3, minus 3. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Divide by 2. And negative 3 divided by 2 on a calculator is negative 1.5. I'm telling you what these equal so it goes a little quicker, but you need to use your calculator on your own. Okay, now there ain't no boxes here. I need to get the x to the second by itself, so dot the x to the second and undo the things. So you add 5. 10 plus 5 is 15. Now I need to divide by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and that takes you right to the x to the second because I've undone all the things with that. Now, on your multiplication table, do I see 3? Nope. So then I find what the square root is of 3, because the square root takes me to the x, and I go second, 4 keys up, double, and then 3. 1.73. Now the reason you have two answers is because you can have the positive and the negative. Okay, the next problem. GCF. Now we don't need the negative because the first number is not negative. Now, we do need x because I have x on everything. So I have an x to the second and an x to the first. So we need to put the smaller x with our GCF, x to the first. Now, GCF, you're 7 and 14. And that's 7, okay? So I put 7x to the first out, put a parentheses around it, and then go up here and divide. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, and then 2 minus 1 is 1, but it's x to the 1. And then negative 14 divided by 7 is negative 2. So minus 2, but these are to the same power, so we can get rid of those. Now for the dots. Remember the things you look for on a dots, okay? Is your x to the second there. When you're looking at that second parentheses. No, it's not. So we get rid of that. F1, F2 equals 0. Get rid of those ridiculous first powers too. So 7x could equal 0, or the 1x minus 2 could equal 0. So dot circle, dot circle. So I divide by 7. 0 divided by 7 is 0. Plus 2 plus 2. 0 plus 2 is a 2. Divide by 1. That's 2. Okay, now my next problem. I'm glad I have this all set up. The GCF, negative, don't need it because that first number is positive. The x. There's an x here, here, but not here. 1, 6, and 3 is 1, so if I just have 1, we ain't doing it. You can use your calculator if you're not sure. Okay, now there's a little note up in the side, as you can see. It says fail. That means don't do the table. It's going to fail. Okay, so I'll go ABC, but I skip the table when it says fail. I don't do the A times C. There's no way you'll get the table to work. So I use my quadratic formula. The opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, double parentheses, B squared minus parentheses 4A and C over 2A. Now if you look on your table, I wrote that down. Okay, if it says fail, instead of doing the table, we're going to go with this. Okay, so A, B, and C, okay? A is 1, the B is -6, and the C is 3. So the opposite of the B, I'm going to switch that -6 to a +6. And then B out here I put the -6. Okay, it's me putting a -6, and then 4, and then A is 1. C is 3, +3, and A is 1. Well, on the bottom, you should know that 2 times 1 is 2, okay? So you got the +6, the addition and subtraction, and the 2. So now we go to our calculator and calculate the square root. So I go second, 4 keys up, double, and then -6, close it. The second power is the 4th key up, subtract 4, 1, and 3. I got 4.89, okay? Okay, sweet. So now I operate with just these 3 numbers. I have a 6 plus 4.89, then click equals, and then divide by 2. 5.44. Then I take 6 minus 4.89, click equals, divide by 2. 0.55. Okay. So setting it up means I know exactly what to do from there. Okay, now the next one, the H. Now when you're got to get H squared by itself, so dot and circle. You don't have to add or subtract. You can go straight to the dividing, and that dividing takes you right here. 40 divided by 5 is 8. And then I go see if I have 8 on my paper, the perfect squares row. It's not there, okay? So I find the square root of 8 on my calculator. So I go second, the 4th key up, 8, 2.82. But then when I go over here, that could be positive or it could be negative. So then I dot and circle. Dot and circle, I add 4. 2.82 plus 4 is 6.82. Divided by 1, and that's still 6.82. Okay, now here I minus 4. Or no, I plus 4 still. What am I doing? Plus 4. So 1 times x, now I take negative 2.82 plus 4, 1.18, and divide by 1, and that's still 1.18. So I end up with the 2 answers, just like I always should when it's blocked. Bring in your h, okay? And you treat it like you do with x squared equals x with that h, okay? All right, we're doing rainbows here. 5 times 1x is 5x. Then I put the minus. 5 times 4 is 20 equals 40. And I just have to get the x by itself. I don't have to square root because there's no second power. So I add 20. Gives me 60. And then I divide by my 5. 60 divided by 5 is 12, and that's the answer. Okay, I don't need to find the number times itself. It's not a second power. Okay, now number 8. A missile's launched in the air with a velocity of 700 feet per second from a height. It's launched in the air from 25 feet with a velocity of 700 feet per second. Calculate the time it takes for the missile to hit 0 feet. All right, so our 2 units, it's a feet-seconds problem. X is the seconds, Y is the feet. So per feet per second. Feet per second, 700, that's obvious. Okay, so it's going to be a parabola. Now, before the 700 feet per second, we have 25 feet. And then after the 700, we end at 0 feet. So I know how to set up these parabolas. I need a big box, and then it's blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank. So for x to the second, we have the gravity term, the negative 16. Now this is my feet per second. That would be 700 equals y, I guess. And then 25 goes in here, and we end at 0 feet. So 0 takes the place of the y, because that feet is represented by y. So there's two answers. That's obvious to all. And you able to find an x not to the second? Yeah, right here. So we have to go set boxes. So we're set, okay? And you got three terms, okay? So GCF table. Now first the GCF. The negative you have, so you need to put a negative, okay? And negative under all your lines and outside. X, no, you don't need X because 25, the end number doesn't have it. And then let's check the GCF out of 16, 700, 25. Yeesh, I just got 1, okay? But it's -1, so I have to do it, okay? So a negative divided by negative is a positive 16x to the second. Now, dividing by 1 will keep us at 700, but when I divide by negative, it switches the plus to a minus, because 700 divided by -1 is -700x. And then positive 25 divided by -1 is -25. Now go ABC, but I wrote fail. So I put a giant fail sign, means I'm not going to do this. I'm going to use the quadratic formula. Remember, if I put fail, you go to this. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, double parentheses, B to the second, minus 4. A is 16, C is -25. Divided by 2A, okay? So A is 16, because we're up here now. B is -700, and C is -25. So now I start putting them in. Opposite of B, we switch that to positive 700. The B is -700 here, -700. Then 4, and then, whoops, I forgot, I went ahead, AC. Sorry, put an A and a C there, okay? I jumped the gun, I want A and C there. A is 16, okay? C is -25. Then my A is 16. Okay, sorry, I jumped the gun too quick and put the numbers in. Start with 4AC and then put those in. Okay, so 2 times 16 is 32. So I got my 32, my 700 out here, and then the plus minus. Now it's square root time. Second, 4 keys up. Double it. -700, close it. Second power it, minus 4. 16, -25. I got 701.14, okay? So 701.14. And then I do my math. So 700 plus 701.14 divide by 32. You got 43.78 because it's a missile. Then I take the 700 and subtract the 701.14 equals, and then divide by 32. Negative 0.03. Obviously, the higher answer is the one I'm rolling with, the 43.78. Okay.